Talk to me, CJ. Hey, I'm live. Hello and welcome to the presentation. I don't know if you guys can hear me or not, though. Let's see. How do I figure out if you can hear me or not? I got my assistant on my phone by my kneecaps here. Let's see. Chat. Hello, Fraser. Does that mean you can hear me? Let me know if you can hear me. Just raise your hand. I see a bunch of you on there, but I just want to make sure that you guys can hear me. Yes, yes, yes. Hi, Dan. Hello, 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 hello. Hello, 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 Mo. Hello, Norm. Hello, Jonas. Welcome to the webinar. Welcome to the presentation. All right, fantastic. My name is Dan Rushan, and I am your presenter today. Today, we're going to have a conversation about how I'm going to tell you how I took 67 listings this past year. Hello, Cassie. I see you guys popping up there. Thank you for saying hello. And I'm going to tell you how I took 67 listings in 2020 during a pandemic and how you could do the same in any market. Hello, Ann. So, hello, John. Today, my mission in this presentation is to strive together for our mutual success and for me to show you how you can consistently and predictably take listings every single year, every single month for the rest of your career. And I'm going to show you how you could do this without cold calling, without door knocking, without having to crush yourself and work 18 hours every single day. So what I want you to do, I'm going to invite you to grab a pen, grab a piece of paper, because there's going to be some times where I'm going to ask for you to take notes, and you're going to want to take notes. All right, let's get started. All right, so if you have failed in this business, if you've failed in taking listings, it's not your fault. I just wanted you guys to understand that. If you take a look at this chart on the page here, you can see this goes back to November 2010, the last 20 years in the Mid-Atlantic region, which is reflective of the market across the United States. You guys can see on here, we are in the lowest inventory that there's ever been in all time of inventory. So there's a million and one things that you can do when it comes to real estate sales. And, oftentimes everything that you have to do is outside your job description. And frankly, it can get into your way of creating results so that you can have a predictable stream of adequate income. And we want to make certain that you have that opportunity to be able to have adequate income. So if you've ever thought that there's no way that you could do this, I want to reassure you, you could do this. I want to reassure you that you can find listings consistently and that you can succeed in a manner that you can have full faith in your own abilities to be able to do so. You just have to implement the right processes. So the key to consistent and predictable income is having a system to be able to follow that will allow for you to not have money and relationships and time fall through the cracks. And that is the key to success in our business. The proprietary, consistent, and predictable income system that I'm going to talk to you about today will show you the way that you can have listings on demand, that you can have buyers on demand. And when you use the processes I'm going to discuss with you today, you're going to have a clear pathway to follow. And one thing that I've learned in my years of real estate sales is that all agents desire to have a consistent and a predictable income. And you already know that as agents, we belong to a really small group of community of entrepreneurs that every single day, guess what? We wake up, we get out of bed, we brush our teeth. Most of us, Fraser, I'm talking to everyone else, but that's okay. We brush our teeth. Hi, Kate. And we are unemployed. We have to go out and we have to find business. And few other people understand what we go through every single day, day in and day out. And we're in this together. You and I, as real estate professionals, we are in this together. I want to talk to you about what some of the other agents. So the consistent and predictable income community is a community of agents that are committed to helping each other. And there are so many unprofessional agents in the world. You guys already know that. These agents, they make us look bad. They hardly even listen to the clients or take the time to understand their needs, leaving the people that they're pretending to serve underserved. The ineptitude of these unprofessional agents, it causes the general public to really just look down on us. Those agents, they're here to bring us down. I mean, they do bring us down, but not you. You're a professional. Why do I know that you're a professional? I know that you're a professional because you're taking the time right now to carve out an hour of your day and join this presentation so that you can improve yourself in regards to your skill set, in regards to your craft. Other agents, they're just, they don't even have a brain. They're clueless and they're unaware. And just like the fact that I know that you're professional, I also know that you're smart. And again, you're smart because you're here right now. And so thank you, but you should really thank yourself for being here, for taking the time to be able to be a part of this conversation today. A lot of agents, you may have noticed, there's a couple agents out there, they are lazy. They're just like, hey, can't somebody else do this, right? They don't return the phone calls to you. They don't return the phone calls to their clients. And they just, frankly, they just don't work hard enough. And, maybe they've watched too many HGTV shows that glamorize our industry, or they just don't understand that they're operating a business. And just like any business out there, it takes a considerable effort for you to succeed, for us to succeed. And you've already proven that you're not like those lazy agents just by being here on this webinar. You're serious about educating yourself and becoming a better real estate agent because you are here. You, my ladies and gentlemen, are ambitious. You are not lazy. Now, we also know there's a ton of agents out there that are not qualified. And those agents that are not qualified, they also make us look bad. The reality of it is that the barriers to entry into, I'm a real estate instructor. I have taught hundreds of agents to get their real estate license. I have seen so many agents come through that class and, just sort of wing it. And somehow or another, they pass the test. And the barrier to entry into real estate sales is just so damn low. I mean, it's stupid how low the barrier to entry is. And as a result of that, there's a vast gap in the knowledge of the skill set, the competency that one agent to another that they have to be able to succeed. And there's very few that are going to actually triumph in this industry. And again, we know that you're qualified because you're taking the time to educate yourself. You've proven that just by being here. So I want to address, before we get started, I want to address something that I'm going to call the elephant in the room. So the elephant in the room is such that at the end of this presentation, I'm going to make you an offer. And I'm going to offer you a proposal that's designed to help you get to the next level. But you don't have to have any worries because right now we have no idea if this is a good fit for you. I have no idea if you're a good fit for the offer. And if in the end you're open-minded to the help that I offer, sign up, participate. If you're not, no way. No worries, no way, no way, no worries, no way. Either way, you're going to be better equipped at the end of this presentation to be a better real estate agent and to be able to take more listings. And we're going to be in this. We're going to be able to do this together. And I'm going to demonstrate to you exactly how. So I want to ask yourself, I'm going to take a little sidebar right here. And I want you to ask yourself, why did you get into real estate sales? Most likely you got into sales because you probably wanted to make a bunch of money. Or maybe you were looking for freedom. Or maybe you just want to be able to work in your underwear, right? I mean, you just thought that, hey, I can do this 9 to 5 thing, and I can just stay at home and Guess what? Literally, you guys cannot see underneath my desk right now, but that is literally, with the absolute of the jacket, that's my environment right now. I just don't want you to imagine that. So, but maybe you thought you could sit at home. Maybe you thought you can work from your underwear, and obviously in the last year we've been able to do that. But seriously, you probably might get stressed out from thinking that if I don't succeed in real estate sales, if I don't take listings every single month, at some point I'm going to have to go back to that 9 to 5. Thank you, Fraser, for your beautiful comments. I appreciate that. He's wearing a thong right now. So you're going to have to, at some point, go back to that 9 to 5. And so that's why I'm here today for you. So I want to show you how you can use the right systems to take listings every single month of the year so that you can have more money, you can have more freedom, and you can have consistent and predictable paychecks every single month so that you can reach your potential and that you can have significance. Now, you can choose to believe that you're never again, that you're going to have to worry about, how do I make my car payment? How do I even keep my phone on? I was looking for my phone. How do I be able to pay my bills? Which is often a challenge that we have as real estate agents, and you're not going to have to worry about that any longer. So who is this presentation for? This presentation is for seasoned agents. Seasoned agents that maybe you just had the best month that you've ever had, and you want to do it again, but you're not so sure that you can do it again because maybe you think it was just luck. And you already know that you're either going to spend every single night and every single day away from your family, away from your friends. You'll be helping those clients, or worse, you're going to have very few clients. So you're going to sit around, you're going to struggle, you're going to look around and you say, where am I going to get my next prospect? How am I going to pay my mortgage or my rent? Or how am I going to feed my family? How am I going to feed myself? How will I even overcome the struggles that I have here? And I don't want that to be you. So I want you to suppose that you do get that steady pipeline of clients and the cash stays solid. You'll be in a position that you'll be in a much better position than if the cash runs out. You'll be in a much better position than if you don't have that steady pipeline of clients, which would cause an entire series of issues. And you don't want this to happen. It's bad. Okay. You need right now to develop the right plan, and you don't have time for anything else if you desire to have that significant paycheck moving forward. So I want you to take, if you're not driving, close your eyes, and I want you to imagine 90 days from now. And I want you to imagine the flowers are blooming, the vaccines are working, the world has returned back to normal. And you have listings on the market. You have a full pipeline of clients, and you have consistent closings every month coming, month after month after that. And you're going to be great in a position to know that you're not going to have to worry about where your next paycheck's going to come from. So today, you're going to learn how to get to that next level predictable listings, resulting in that stable income. Who else is this presentation for? This presentation is also for new agents. So maybe you're a new agent and you don't necessarily even know, how do I do a listing presentation? How do I position myself so that I'm able to list homes every single month? Most agents, that they get into this business, they're actually going to sell fewer than 2 homes in the first year. And most likely that's going to be to family members, right? I mean, we've seen this. You've seen this if you've been in this business for any period of time. And as a result of the challenge that we have in our industry, particularly during that first 6 months, and of the fact that I just got off this podcast that this lady was interviewing me, she was asking me about my first 6 months of business. And I was sharing with her about the fact that she asked me, she said, what was different after month 6 than before? Because in the first 6 months, I had no income, like most agents, really. And I just simply shared with her, I said, well, I was in the starting phase. There's a lagging factor in our business that when you get started in the business, you're not necessarily going to automatically be ready to rock and roll You got to go out and you have to find the business. You have to figure out how to do the business. You have to be able to figure out exactly how to serve the business so that you can be successful. And, we've all been there. We've all been new agents at some point or another, unless if you're not an agent yet watching this webinar, you've been a new agent. And right now, you might be in a position where you're actually scared. You may feel insignificant. And you might even be asking yourself, if you are a new agent, like, was this a mistake? Did I make the right choice? What if I don't succeed? What are people going to think about me? What's my husband going to think about me? My spouse, my wife, my partner? I want you, if you're a new agent, I want you to imagine 6 months from now, and I want you to imagine that you figured this out. You figured out how to do business. You figured out how to get listings. And I want you to imagine that other people are going to be admiring you. They're going to be respecting you. And most importantly, you're going to respect yourself, right? And I want you to say, like, how freaking great does this feel that I know that you can succeed in our business, that you can take the time, you can take the effort, and you can put all this together so that you can have success. This webinar is also for top producers, rainmakers. Congratulations, you have had success. You've cracked the code. You should be proud of yourself. And trust me, I've been here as well. You want to be able to participate in the life that you've created, right? It's how are you going to be in a position that you've worked so hard to figure out how to take listings. You've worked so hard to be able to crack that code, and you should be proud of your results. But you should also be in a position that you can actually now enjoy the fruits of your labor, right? So how can you dramatically increase your listings while decreasing your time in the business? How can you do that? We're going to talk about that today. So this is who this webinar is for. And if you're that agent, if you're that listing agent, that top producing agent, I want you to imagine for yourself 6 months from now. I want you to consider that you are in a place that you have succeeded. I want you to consider that you're able to not have to work 18 hours a day anymore. I want you to consider that you're in a position so that you can actually thrive. And I want each of you, whether you're a new agent, a seasoned agent, a top producing agent, I want you to understand that you can reach the potential that is within you as a person, not as a real estate agent, as a person, so that you can have certainty in your future. Because that ultimately is what most of us are in this business, in this world to do. So if you don't know who I am, I want to take a few minutes here to introduce myself to you. My name is Dan Rochon. I mentioned that to you a little bit earlier. And I've been selling real estate since 2007. I spent years of taking the time to study sales techniques, business tactics, persuasion skills, so that I can help buyers and sellers to be able to solve their problems and achieve their goals. And I've also done the same for real estate agents as well, so that real estate agents like you can solve your problems and achieve your goals. So I've either worked as a salesperson or a coach, a business leader. I've really, ever since my first job in about 1986, I've been in some sort of sales. And I've had the opportunity to coach new agents. I've had the opportunity, I already told you, to teach agents to get their licenses. I've taught aspiring rainmakers and top agents in the business. And I have learned from some of the best world-class leaders, such as Gary Kellers and others, that I've had the opportunity to sit down with and to talk and to learn from on a one-on-one basis between myself and them. And today I want to take just a small little nugget of some of the things that I've learned and be able to share that with you. 2007, I was a waiter at a high-end restaurant, and I went from being a waiter to successful business owners. And I have had a lot of foods along the way, and I want to be able to share a couple of those with you today. So I've been a broker. I've owned a brokerage, and I've also been trained in the specialty area of neuro-linguistic programming and hypnosis. And I'm not going to make you look like a chicken today, so don't get scared about hypnosis and all that. Unless if like you're into that type of thing, but I will talk to you about how you can create urgency, desire, and how you can help other people to make decisions. how you can get people to hire you as a listing agent. So for the last, since 2007, there's only been, since April 2008, actually, I got my license in 2007. April 2008, I have only had 2 months during that time period that I've not actually closed a piece of business, that I've not helped a buyer or a seller. And outside of that, it's been more than 144 months right now that I've had between 1 and 15 homes closed every single month, with an average of 6.2, and for the last year, it's over an average of 11. And so, and then of the past year, in addition to the buyers, I have taken 67 listings this past year. So when I got started in real estate sales, I want to tell you a little bit about how I got started in real estate sales. So it was 2007. I was waiting tables at the Capitol Grill in DC. And I remember that I wanted to have that significance. I wanted to be able to be in a position to be able to succeed as an entrepreneur, to succeed as a business owner, but I just didn't know how. Like, I had no idea of like, how do I even set this up? A couple of years previous to that, 2005, before that, I was an active alcoholic. I drank every single day of my life. I drank 12 beers a day to go to sleep, plus 2 bottles of wine. And I would do that between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. And in 2005, I had to make a choice. And that choice that I made was, I'm either going to die or not. And I thought not dying was probably the better choice. And so as a part of stopping, of choosing to no longer drink alcohol, I also knew that I, like I said, I wanted to be a business owner. I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I did not see the way. So I got my license, and in 2007, finally, and I became an entrepreneur. I got into sales, and I mentioned the first 6 months of my business, I closed zero, nothing, zippy. So November 2007, again, it was foreclosures was like the headlines, the word of the day. And so it wasn't until April of 2008 that I closed my first transaction. That was after I sat down with my broker, Karen, and I was like, Karen, I am struggling. Help me out. And she said, Dan, just keep doing what you've been doing. And so at first I was like, you're freaking crazy, because I'm getting ready to pay my mortgage on my credit card. But I did follow our advice. And then from April 2008, it allowed for me by April of 2009 to actually purchase the brokerage that I was working for. And I was proud, like, I had a lot of success that year. And, I'll never forget, stroking that first, it was $100,000 that I was able to save during that second 6 months to 18 months for the first investment that I put into the brokerage. And I actually put a lot more than that throughout the years. But that was my first, what was a huge, I say small investment comparatively, but it was a huge investment. And I had a lot of ups. I had a lot of downs in the brokerage during those 10 years. And, finally I made some bad decisions with the brokerage, and it caused me that I had to sell. And so I'll never forget that I was sitting in, so this was like, owning the brokerage was like a lot of my identity to me, and inappropriately so. Like, it should not have been my identity, right? But for the time at the time, a lot of it was my identity. And I put 197 million% into this thing. And eventually it didn't work out. And so I remember we just did this big, massive build out in Kingstown and Alexandria, Virginia. And I was sitting in the office. We're getting ready to move into the brokerage, into the thing I just signed a 7-year lease on, that I could no longer afford because I had a mass exodus of agents that had left us. And I remember sitting in the office and calling the regional director of the franchise that I owned at the time. And I remember she's telling me, she's like, Dan, you have to write this resignation letter. And so I had to draft a resignation letter. And I'll never forget sitting in that office. It was a blank, empty office. I wrote the letter, had the scanners up and running, printed it, signed it, scanned it, emailed it, cried, never looked back, look forward. I closed my eyes and said, boom, that's it. Now it's time to rock and roll. And I knew that, it's time that I had to, at that point, I had to start focusing on the journey in front of me. And so that's when I wrote Real Estate Evolution. So Real Estate Evolution is the book that I had written to document the years and years that I had spent of the steps that I took. I compiled everything that I learned on my journey, and I put it into one resource, the Real Estate Evolution. And that became a guide and a blueprint for others to follow, to be able to take listings every single month and to be able to have a consistent and a predictable income in their sales business. And while I was writing, I had the opportunity to really spend the time reflecting on my journey, because it took me 13 months of 3 hours every single day to be able to write. I literally took no days off when I was writing. I took 0 days off. And there was something that I learned while I was writing that I previously did not realize that was holding me back. And so this was only a couple of years ago. I realized that I'm worthy. And I realized that even though I had this perceived success and perceived failures and perceived everything in between, I realized that there was something that was holding me back from really, truly living a life that I desired. And that was that I made up a story when I was 5 years old that I held with me for years and years and years until recently, that I held that story that I'm not worthy. And I realized through writing that book, Real Estate Evolution, here, I got a copy right here. Take a screenshot. I'll sign it later. I realized by writing that book that as I reflected on my journey, I realized that I am actually worthy. Like I can be, who I want to be in this world. So that's a little bit about me, but hey, enough about me. This is about you. And I know that you're probably thinking right now, okay, great, Dan, but we came here to learn how to take listings. Who the hell cares about you? I get it. I never want to own a brokerage or write a book. And okay, got it. All right, enough. Stop yelling at me. All right. So instead of talking about me, we're going to talk about you. We're going to talk about your goals. And we're going to talk about how to get you where you want to go. So the way that agents traditionally approach real estate sales is that they try to figure it out without a roadmap. And the reason why this is hard is because they don't know how to give a listing presentation. They don't know how to get off that roller coaster of sales. They don't know how to be able to position themselves to have that consistent and predictable income in a manner that they're able to have to be able to get off that roller coaster, to be able to stop working those 18 hours a day, to be able to follow the right processes and the right systems to be able to be successful. Because the proper method is going to allow for you to know the exact steps of what to do in real estate sales and how to make your sales scalable. And today I'm going to share with you 3 specific ways to consistently take listings every single month of the year. And you don't have to do so by doing some of the things that you don't want to do, like knocking on doors and that type of stuff, unless if you really, truly want to. Secret number 1, drum roll. Secret number 1, take ultimate responsibility. So remember I told you that in my my late 20s and my early 30s, I was a waiter at the high-end steakhouse in D.C. This is a place where we had senators and lobbyists, and they'd come in, they'd get their $350 bottles of Bordeaux wine. And, they would, if this was like, there were so many famous people that came into this restaurant, and I earned a lot of money. But the reality of it is that I hated my job. Okay, I wanted to be a business owner. I wanted to help people. And the only clear conclusion that I could get was I didn't have enough money to be able to start a business. And so that's what I pleaded with my relatives to say, hey, look, will you loan me some money? I want to open a business. They weren't going to have it. And so eventually I got into real estate sales. And so as a result of getting into real estate sales, I already mentioned to you that I had taken the time to stop drinking. And I shared that with you already was because I knew that I had to take ultimate responsibility of my actions as an individual so that I can be in a position to be able to create success. My definition, the definitions that I've created for personal responsibility versus ultimate responsibility, is that personal responsibility is that you take action you take responsibility for your actions. You accept the fact that what you do in this world creates your outcome. The definition of ultimate responsibilities means that you accept everything in your world you accept. And I get that that's a tough thing for some of us to consider, but it's something that you have to understand, that when you accept that you're responsible for everything, you'll be in a position that you'll be able to succeed at a much higher level. And I told you a little bit about fighting those demons, a little bit about not feeling worthy, a little bit about the fact that I literally right down here, I have 3 big books. These are these AA books, Alcoholics Anonymous. I've never opened one of those up in the last 15 years. I don't need to. You know why I don't need to? I don't need to open up these books to remain sober, because the owners of these books, here, I'll show you. Maybe I'll show you. Hey, there we go. I will show you. The owners of these books, here's one right here. There's 2 more in there. Was my best friend David, my uncle Chuck, and my uncle Scott. I'm 47 years old today. Chuck, Scott, and Dave, all 3 died before they were 45 years old as a result of alcohol. And so this is probably the first time I've actually even opened this book up in probably 10 years. This was, I'm not sure whose book this was. I think this was Dave's book. His name's not in here. I'll have to look at this later. So it's about taking responsibility of the fact to sit there and say, listen, you can either be in a position that you are going to accept the fact that you create everything that happens to you, or you can sit there and say, I'm going to just, live my life by default. So you probably have heard in the office before, you've probably heard agents go through and say things like, bitch and moan, like, hey, the other agent's not returning my phone call, or the home inspector, they screwed up this deal because they asked for a roof replacement, or my broker, she doesn't care for me, or it's a loan officer's fault. I mean, how many times have we heard that? The complaints, they can just go on and on and on and on. And my encouragement to you is to take responsibility. I'm going to encourage you to consider that 100% of what happens to you is a result of your thoughts and your actions. When you take ultimate responsibility, you shift the responsibility of the world into one such that you can position yourself so that you understand that you can have to, or rather that you do not have to. Instead, you can choose to do whatever it is that you want to do. Because life either happens by design or by default, and my recommendation is for you to choose. Choose right now that you're going to take action to take design of your life. Because the price of greatness is the price of responsibility. And I was only able to get away with putting a Winston Churchill thing in here because I just finished season 4 of The Crown. And you probably have as well. And so now there's something I can relate to. Otherwise, Winston Churchill would have made no sense to get into this presentation. So I want to tell you that this method of being able to accept responsibility works for anybody, including you. You can do this. I recently taught a class. James was talking to me about the class and put this on Facebook. This was in August. I had the biggest aha. Until we make the commitment to take responsibility for ourselves, including what we allow to program us, we're likely to fall short of our goals and not be in a position to achieve consistent and predictable income. And that's what James said. Coleman said, things that happen around us that are not our fault is, so he says, we can only control ourselves and our actions. Things happen around us that are not our fault. However, we're responsible for how we respond to these things. We cannot waste our resources, our time, our energies, our emotions. We've got to choose that this is that we're responsible. Sven says, exciting training. Thank you very much. Great pointers on taking a holistic approach to thinking about the business and life and creating a business that supports your life. Right now, you might not have the right plan to generate enough listings. I get it. It does not have to be this way. There is a system that you can follow that will help guide you through taking ultimate responsibility, that will help guide you through the point that you'll be able to have that calmness and joy. You'll be able to no longer have to feel the physical anxiety that you may feel when you don't know how to pay your bills, that caused by the lack of listings and inconsistent deals, that cause you to have that lack of energy and vitality to focus on doing the things that you want to do, the things that you love to do, the things that you deserve to do. And I want you right now, I want you to understand that when you follow the right plan, you're no longer going to need to figure this out on your own. You're going to have a pathway to flourish with the systems to nail your presentation to get hired more often, while you set your clients' expectations that will easily avoid the transaction's predictable problems. You're never again going to have to worry about having to find that listing or where's that next piece of business going to come from, because you can choose to follow a plan of how to take ultimate responsibility. Secret number 2, I want you to get your pens and papers out. This is where you're going to put some work into this. So this is going to be an opportunity for you guys here. So secret number 2 is the big why. So early in my career, when I got into real estate leadership, I was taught to follow my big why. And every conference that I visited and every class that I attended encouraged me to follow my big why. And at the time, it was the phrase of the day, but here's the problem. I had no idea what the hell my big why was. I didn't know why I was doing what I was doing. I was on another syndicated radio show the other day. I was getting interviewed, and the host asked me, he said, why did I do what I did early on in my career? And the truth is, I had no appropriate answer for the guy. Because in the beginning, I just sort of felt like it was in my DNA to be able to push hard to succeed. And through time, I've developed a much better relationship with my big why, that I realized that it don't have to necessarily be like this big altruistic type thing, though it could be. My big why and your big why could be as simple as, I just got to pay my bills. I got to keep my marriage. I don't want to have to go back to waiting tables, right? Like your big why can be as easy as that. And you might be just like I was early on in my career, where right now maybe you have no idea why you're doing what you're doing. And there is a system for that. There is a system that you can find out your big why. So this is where I'm going to encourage for you to participate. So what I want you to do now is I want you to find that piece of paper that you have and that pen. And if you're not driving, I want you to actually take a few minutes to play along with me here, because you might as well, because you're here anyways. And if you are driving, contact me later and I'll share the notes for this exercise so you can do it on your own. So I want you to sit there and I want you to ask yourself a question right now. And that question that I want you to ask yourself is, why did I get into real estate sales? Why did I get into real estate sales? And I want you to really consider that right now, for real. I want you to even close your eyes if it's helpful. And I want you to think to yourself, think back to that first day that you decided to get your license, the first day that you opened up the book and you got on the computer to start studying, or the first day that you went to that real estate class. And I want you to think, like, what was in your mind at that time? Why did I get into real estate sales? And I want you to write down that answer right now. And now I want you to look at that answer that you just wrote. And I want you to ask yourself another question. What's important to me about that? So what is important to you about the reason why you got into real estate sales? And now I want you to ask yourself another question. I want you to ask yourself, what's important to me about that? And while we may not have the time right now, and maybe this platform's a little bit challenging for me to implement this. If we were in a live classroom, it may be easier. Yet, it's a little bit challenging for me to guide us through this exercise appropriately because I can't see you. I'm going to trust, however, that you did take the time to write the answers down, and if you didn't, that you do so tonight. And right now, if you haven't written anything on your piece of paper, I want you to write at the very least, why did I get in real estate sales? What's important to me about that? What's important to me about that? And whether if you did the exercise or not, I want you to keep visiting this exercise every single day until your answer to that question rings true to you. Until that answer to that question is one such that you feel really super comfortable that that's why you're doing what you're doing. Because when you find out why, and when your why is big enough, you never ever do you have to worry about how. The how will always show up. Why do I do what I do? Well, for many years, my mother, who's 74 years old, who lives right over there right now, you can't see it, past this wall outside in another place. I built her a house on my property. Some of you have been to my house and you've seen that. And for many years, that's the reason why I sold real estate, because my mom, she's 74 years old now. At the time, she was in her late 60s. And I wanted to build a house for her because she took care of me for my first 20 years or so. And I felt as though if I wanted to take care of her and pay her back for the rest of her time. And for 4 years, I remember on the cork board behind my stand-up desk, I had on that cork board a set of blueprints. And that blueprint was that house. It's right over here, that home. And that home, I would sit there and I'd look at the blueprints every single day that I'd be looking for listing prospects, every single day that I would be lead generating. And I'd look at that board, and on that board was the reason. It reminded me, why am I doing real estate sales? Now, my ambition today is my 10-year-old daughter, Maggie, and I really put this in super drive because she's 10 years old, and I don't want this to be a 4-year journey. I want to build her a pool. Within the next 6 months, I want to earn enough income in my real estate sales business so that I have extra money to be able to pay for all cash to be able to build her that pool. Because for me, this is what's important to me. This is why I sell real estate, because I want to help other people. I want to help my family. And without financial success, I would never have the opportunity to help my family. That's been a huge why for me. The other part of reason why, that's my big reason for why I do what I do is because I want to open doors for others. And that's why I wrote Real Estate Evolution. I wanted you to have the clarity and the predictability in your business so that you can see the pathway for yourself so that you could chart the course and I can help you, because when you chart that course, I fulfilled on my purpose to open up doorways for someone else, and that is hopefully you. And I believe that for a business, for any business, should have a why. And the reason why businesses are in business is because, in my opinion, you should be adding value to the world. And the whatever is the reason for you of what's important to you of why, I want you to have clarity on it, because when you know why you're doing real estate sales, when you know why you're doing this, when you take ultimate responsibility, paired with the third secret I'm about to reveal here, you'll be able to take listings every single week, every single month, whatever it is that you desire. But you need this third piece here. You need this third piece to be able to take the ultimate responsibility and the why, which is a foundation for your success of you being the very best version of yourself, and build upon that. And when I was putting this webinar together a few weeks ago, I talked to a prominent real estate leader. You would know who he is, that I'm friends with. And I asked him, I said, hey, what do you think the biggest challenge for real estate agents is today? And he and I both agreed that it's the lack of inventory, which is probably why you're on this presentation. And he encouraged me to put this presentation together for you and to share my 3 secrets that's caused me to take 67 listings in less than 12 months during the pandemic. And when I put together the first 2 secrets, that's pretty easy. So I know you're looking for tangible stuff, like you're looking for actionable tactics. I get it. But here's the reality of it. I'm telling you exactly how to do it. Okay, I'm telling you, this is how you take 67 listings. You first have to take ultimate responsibility for who you're being. And second, when you choose to have understanding of why you're doing it, the how is always going to show up. The third part of this presentation, though, was a little bit more challenging for me to come up with than the first 2. Because the first 2 were relatively easy. Like they just was like, I just started writing. I just came right up with it. And when I wrote this webinar presentation, the first thing that I did was I reviewed the book Real Estate Evolution for some inspiration. And when I did so, I searched for the words systems and models. It's the first thing that I searched for. And I found that I used systems and models 121 times in the text of the book. It's like, okay, that's pretty cool. Then, because I know that success leaves clues, and so does failure, I researched the word failure. And I researched the word failure, and I found out, guess how many times I had the word failure in the book? 17. 17 times in a book that's more than 81,500 words. 17 of them are fail or failure. And I was like, okay, well, I'm sure I failed more than 17 out of 81,500 times. So what's that all about? So then I started thinking, and I was like, okay, what's my definition of failure? So I started looking for a different phrase. So I searched for the terms learn and learning, and I found that I used those terms 119 times. So what I realized was, I realized a few things. I realized that, first of all, there is no failure. And I already knew that, right? There is no failure. There's just learning opportunity. But the more important thing that I think I realized was, I thought that Real Estate Evolution was a book describing how to have success in real estate sales, and I was wrong. It's not. It's a book about systems. Because I spent my entire career studying successful systems. And between the coaches and the seminars, I invested more than $500,000 into my own personal training to learn from the best models in our industry. And I dissected them, I digested them, I implemented them. I failed at them, I adapted at them, I re-implemented them, I tweaked them, I documented them, and I put them all in that book, Real Estate Evolution. And everything that I had done was a result of learning and implementing a system. Every single thing that I've done this past year to take 67 listings has been because I followed a system. And I look back on my journey. I look back on the journey of my business, and I realized that everything was a system. From starting the BNI Positive Power, that a networking group that I started 13 years ago, to putting it together into presentations and following the various different systems that I documented in the book, to everything from flourishing, there's a system for that, To communication, there's a system for that. To looking for leads, there's a system for that. That podcast I just got off of, the ladies asked me, she said, well, what are the habits of a top salesperson? I said, well, I just happen to know because I've done my study on it. I follow a system of habits. I lead generate every single day. I time block. I provide massive value to others. I ask for referrals consistently. I start early. I have the right mindset and I take planned breaks. I follow a system of habits. I follow a system of how to lead generate. I follow a system of how to convert, of how to make a presentation and how to get hired, and how to connect the buyer with the seller and clear the pathway to closing. And I follow a system on how I can build, support, and guide the team that I lead. To be able to define the people, I know I'm looking for competitive, learning-based, assertive, relationship-based team players who are self-starters. That's who I'm looking for in my team. And I know that because I follow a system. This is the secret ingredient to taking listings every single month of the year. It's following a system. It's following a pathway that is documented in front of you. It doesn't matter if it's Real Estate Evolution or Millionaire Real Estate Agent or I got different books here. It doesn't matter if it's The Road Less Stupid or if it's The Millionaire Real Estate Agent or if it's Shift or if it's any other book that's going to guide you on the way. It doesn't matter. What I'm going to recommend to you is I'm going to recommend that you find, you study, and you implement systems because that's the key to consistent and predictable income. I really actually only had one reason to put this slide in here. It was because my assistant made it for me. And I was like, I have no idea how I could actually put this slide in here, except I have to because it amuses me. So anyways, so there is a story behind this though, because early on in my career, I did think that I was the superhero. I tried to help everyone. I tried to do everything on my own. And I quickly learned that I needed help. I was not the Superman. So I hired a coach. And since then, I've employed anywhere between 2 and it's actually 7 coaches in my life, but typically 2 or 3 at all given times. Once upon a time, I had to hire a coach. I didn't have to. I chose to hire a coach to be able to teach me how to swim because I wanted to run a triathlon. And I thought not knowing how to swim was a bad idea to compete in a triathlon. So there's been many times in my life where even thinking that I'm a superhero, not many times, there's almost every time I've had a coach and I've had somebody to be able to help me and guide me on the way. And even as I went through this journey of real estate sales, every single time I thought I had it nailed, I found out, boom, I don't. I had to learn, and I had to learn how to lead people effectively. I had to learn how to understand that leadership is that you lead people and you manage things, and that's something that it took me a second or two for me to be able to learn that. Because at first, when I first started selling, or when I first started in leadership, I thought that I had to manage, and I found out, that's not true, right? So some of the things that I've learned along the way is I've learned to be able to set expectations of your relationships. I learned how to stand for the greatness of those that you serve. I learned how to lead to people's strengths rather than their weaknesses, and I learned how to listen. I learned how to ask in-depth questions and how to be in rapport. I learned how to learn from criticism. And I learned how when somebody disagrees with you, you should listen twice as hard. That's a tough one for me, by the way. But I've learned it, and I'm continuing to learn it, and I'm always striving to learn more. And I'm always striving to know when a problem arises, to think, what are the best solutions before I take action? And I know that this is a lot for you guys to digest right now, and it may even feel like you're sort of drinking from a fire hose in regards to some of the things that I'm going through here. But I learned these systems, right? I learned to be able to follow these systems in a manner that I was able to succeed, right? And I know that right now, I want to invite you to an opportunity for us to have a conversation of a 20-minute phone call with yourself or me, with either you and one of our success coaches or myself, so that I can help you by lowering the ladder to your success, so that we can help you to be able to guide you to your success and lower that ladder for you to be able to help you out, so that you have a couple of choices. You can continue to struggle on your own, you can succeed on your own, or you could achieve with the help of someone holding your hand and guiding you along the way, along your journey. And of those three choices, which one do you think is going to be easiest? And so what I'm going to encourage for you to do today is I'm going to encourage for you to reach out to us, to reach out to me. And I'm going to encourage for you right now to take the time to set up a one-on-one conversation. You can schedule a one-on-one interview by visiting the cpicommunity.com/call. And when you do that, you'll be able to really have an opportunity to see if one of the programs that we have, one of the programs that we implement, to see if it's the right fit for you, to be able to see if it's the CPI graduate course or the advanced course or the our certification course, to see if one of those curriculums is the right curriculum for you. And even if you have no money, even if you're not in a position to be able to afford to be able to hire for a program, we have something. We have a solution for you, even at a small amount of investment. And if you really want to have success, if you really want to take 3 listings every single week, every single month, we have a program that will guide you through that as well. So all you have to do is visit www.thecpicommunity.com/call. And this is an invitation for seasoned agents, for new agents, for top producers and rainmakers, and for agents that are looking for a consistent and predictable income, for agents that are looking to be able to have a roadmap to your success. And as a part of this, we'll do a 45-minute deep dive business review, one-on-one coaching consultation with myself, to be able to dive into your business, to see which of our consistent predictable income programs may be the best fit for you, so that we can set you up for success. When you visit that website, by the way, when you schedule a call with me, I'm going to throw in a free resource, which is the top 11 listing today, which is a tactical 11 ways of here's where to get listings today. When you schedule that phone call with me, I'll go ahead and email you that resource, plus a whole bunch of other resources as well, checklists and guides, and everything that you may need to be able to be successful. So again, so you don't have to be great to start, but you do have to start to be great. And that came from the famous Zig Ziglar. I had a chance to see him once upon a time when he was late in his life at the Verizon Center. It was one of my privileges in my life, was to be able to learn from Zig Ziglar. So I'm going to encourage you right now, take the time to schedule a one-on-one interview. Go to www.thecpicommunity.com/call and visit that website right now, and let's schedule a one-on-one conversation. Worst thing you could lose is a little bit of your time, 20 minutes. Best thing that you could gain is some clarity on how you can have consistent and predictable income, and on how you can to be able to design your life rather than living a life by default, and how you can be able to be successful in real estate sales. So I encourage you to visit that website right now, register for the phone call. I'll give you your free assets, and I look forward to talking to you and coming up with a plan together to be able to help you with your success. Thank you very much. I hope that you enjoyed the presentation today, and I look forward to inviting you to the next one and seeing you on the next one. Take care.